Previous one we had explored the possibility of filter design by IIT, impulse invariant transformation. And one point that I want to emphasize in this connection is that the obtained frequency response we plot versus omega, which is capital omega multiplied by t, and therefore if the analog response, as you saw for the third order filter, it goes like this, and if capital omega t is pi somewhere here, then the digital filter, if it has a little bit of aliasing, will come like this, a bit of aliasing comes like this and then goes up again like this. Okay. The scale is the same for the x axis, the frequency axis. For the analog and the digital, they are linearly related because small omega is capital omega times capital T. In the bilinear transformation, we shall compress the analog scale from 0 to infinity to 0 to twice pi. Okay? We shall compress the frequency scale, an infinite frequency scale, infinite frequency span, we shall compress to a finite span. And the philosophy is the following. If you are given if you are given an analog transfer function h a of s, you can always simulate h a of s in what used to be once upon a time a popular type of computer called analog computer. Okay? You don't have to know what analog computer is, but the basic fact that in simulation of h a of s, you require summation, you require multiplication by a constant, and you require the only dynamic element that you require in analog simulation of h a of s is an integrator. And what people used to do is to use op-amps for integration and simulate any given transfer function by op-amps only. Adder, multiplication is either a potentiometer if alpha is less than 1 or an op-amp if alpha is greater than 1. You can take care of both plus sign and minus sign, inverting op-amp and non-inverting op-amp. Integration is done by putting a capacitor in the feedback loop, and the integration is usually associated with a negative sign, minus integral. Okay? So, the basic fact is that if I have an adder, a multiplier and a block of transfer function 1 by s which describes an integrator, I can simulate any given analog transfer function. All right. So, if I simulate the given transfer function by adders, multipliers and integrators, I can convert that diagram into a digital filter, because in a digital filter addition is the same, no change, multiplication is the same, no change, only change is we shall require a digital integrator. That is all. That is the philosophy behind the bilinear transformation, and it has proved to be the best possible analytical design, and therefore we shall consider BLT in great details. What we are seeking is a digital integrator. Now, if we have an integrator with x a of t giving rise to y a of t, then y a of t is equal to integral x a of t dt, all right. And to be able to get a digital integrator, let us evaluate y a of n t. Then y a of n t can be written as the initial condition at n minus 1 t, n is an integer, initial condition, plus integral from n minus 1 t to n t x a of t dt. Is that okay? There is no approximation here, this is exact. I want to find the value at n t, this is the initial condition at n minus 1 t, and the interval capital T, I integrate the function over that interval. And what I do now is I write this as y a n minus 1 t plus I approximate this integration. In digital simulation there is no integration, integration is simply finding the area by approximation. So, if I use the trapezoidal rule, that is what I do is I take the average value and multiply by the interval. Okay. So, I approximate the integration as half x a of n t plus x a of n minus 1 t multiplied by capital T. All right. So, this is an approximation. I have no other alternative because a digital computer or digital hardware cannot integrate in the manner that an op-amp does. And this is a small enough interval, capital T is a small interval, small enough so that the spectrum of X is the same in the baseband of the sampled signal. Okay. Now, this is what we call y of n, the quantized version of y a n t we call y of n. So, if I bring this to the left hand side, it is y of n minus 1, and you get capital T by 2 x of n plus x of n minus 1. We have got now a difference equation relating the output and input of a digital version of an analog integrator. We call this a digital integrator. You can see that the transfer function, if you take the Z transform of this, half x of n plus x of n minus 1, if you take the Z transform of this, then you get yz by xz equal to t by 2 1 plus z inverse from xn plus xn minus 1 divided by 1 minus z inverse. All right. And this should correspond to 1 by s. 1 by s is the integrator in the analog domain, and in the digital domain this is the transfer function. Therefore, s corresponds to 2 by t 1 minus z inverse divided by 1 plus z inverse. In other words, what it says is that if in an analog transfer function, instead of finding the impulse response, sampling it, keeping the impulse response invariant, or finding the step response, then sampling it and saying we derive a step invariant transformation, we do not do any such thing, we simply replace s by 2 by t 1 minus z inverse by 1 plus z inverse, then that should be a good digital filter, because summation and multiplication are invariant whether the domain is analog or digital, you do the same thing. It is only integration, and integration, analog integration, we have replaced by a digital integrator, and therefore this should be a good digital filter. filter. In other words, h of z shall be h of s, h a of s, s equal to 2 by t 1 minus z inverse divided by 1 plus z inverse. The transformation from S to Z is called a bilinear transformation because it is a rational function with being a ratio of a linear function divided a linear polynomial divided by a linear polynomial. So, it is called bilinear transformation or simply BLT. In order that it be a useful transfer function, in order that h a of s transforms to a useful h of z, first condition is h of z must be stable. In order to explore or examine whether this transformation is stable or not, let us invert the relationship s equal to 2 by t 1 minus z inverse divided by 1 plus z inverse. If I find z in terms of s, then I get z is equal to 1 plus st by 2 divided by 1 minus st by 2. This is very simple to derive. Okay? Inverting this, I express z in terms of s, and therefore magnitude z would be equal to magnitude of 1 plus sigma t by 2 plus j omega t by 2 divided by 1 minus sigma t by 2 minus j omega t by 2, and that is equal to square root of 1 plus sigma t by 2 whole squared plus omega t by 2 whole squared 1 minus sigma t by 2 whole squared plus omega t by 2 whole squared. Now, you look at this expression carefully. If sigma is less than 0, if sigma is negative, then obviously the numerator will be less than the denominator, and therefore this corresponds to mod z less than 1, right. If sigma is equal to 0, this corresponds to mod z equal to 1, and sigma greater than 0 corresponds to mod z greater than 1, and therefore it is a stable transformation. That is, left half plane is transformed to inside the unit circle, and in order that h a of s is useful, it must have all its poles in the left half plane. So, poles are transformed to inside the unit circle. The imaginary axis sigma equal to 0 is transformed to the unit circle, and the right half plane is transformed to outside the unit circle, exactly like the impulse invariant transformation, and therefore it is a stable transformation. A figure that I am very fond of is the following: j omega sigma, and I have the real part of z and the j imaginary part of z. The imaginary axis transforms to the unit circle. Okay. The left half plane transforms to the inside of the unit circle, and the right half plane transforms to outside the unit circle. Okay. A picture of this important fact that it is a stable transformation. In particular, sigma equal to 0 leads to mod z equal to 1. What does it mean? it means that z equal to e to the power j omega, right. In other words, a point on the imaginary axis here will transform to some point here such that this angle is omega. Agreed? A point on the imaginary axis here, that is sigma equal to 0, will transform to a point on the unit circle whose angle is omega, all right. Only then mod z can be equal to 1. If I write this in the equation x equal to j omega, then I should write z equal to 1, z equal to e to the power j small omega. So, 1 minus e to the minus j omega divided by 1 plus e to the minus j omega, and it requires a little bit of manipulation to put it in terms of a real quantity. I can write this as e to the minus j omega by 2, then I get twice j sin omega by 2, and in the denominator if I take e to the minus j omega by 2, have I made a mistake? No. Twice cosine omega by 2, and therefore this becomes j 2 by t j, this j tangent of omega by 2. That means that capital omega goes as 2 by t tangent of omega by 2. All right. There are several things to observe at this point. One is purely a point of academic interest, that is omega greater than 0 goes to small omega greater than 0. No. Small omega between 0 and pi, okay, 0 omega less than pi. Agreed. If capital omega less than 0, then the rest of that is pi greater than omega less than 2 pi. In other words, this line will go to the upper half of the unit circle, and this line omega less than 0 will go to the lower half of the unit circle. It has no other implication or import on digital filter design, it is just an observation. The other observation is that this relationship is a nonlinear relationship, but 1 to 1. In other words, from this you can get omega as equal to twice tan inverse omega t divided by 2. Agreed? Small omega equal to twice tan inverse omega t divided by 2. Now, if you plot this, if you plot small omega versus capital omega, then small omega equal to twice tan inverse omega t by 2. It will start from 0, all right, when capital omega equal to 0, and when capital omega goes to infinity, tan inverse infinity is pi by 2, and therefore the value that it saturates to will be pi. So the relationship is like this, it is a non-linear relationship. The frequency axis therefore, unlike impulse invariant transformation, in impulse invariant transformation the relationship was simply linear, small omega was equal to capital omega t. Well, we can indicate this here. This is small omega equal to capital omega t. There is a deviation from linearity, it is a nonlinear relation, and this is how an infinite axis is compressed to a finite axis, that is 0 to infinity is compressed to 0 to pi, and this is called warping, W-A-R, the phenomenon is called warping. So, frequency scale is warped. This is a disadvantage unless you take care of it, okay? Unless you take care of it in the appropriate manner, and this we shall do. We shall do pre-warping or anti-warping, so that warping ultimately is cancelled and we get what we want. You know, what we do is the following. Let me tell you the steps that we follow. That is, given a digital filter spec, what are the specs? Delta P's, delta S's, omega P's and omega S's. Why did I put a bar? They are vectors, because there can be many of them, all right. Okay. What we do is delta P delta S shall remain invariant, but omega P omega S, that is correct. Omega P and omega S we transform to capital omega P and capital omega S by the relationship. What is the relationship? 2 by T tangent of omega P S divided by 2. So, we first pre-warp, that is the digital filter specs we pre-warp to analog specs. Small omega P. I am making this mistake again and again. Okay. Small omega P. Let me write it down. Omega P S is equal to 2 by T tangent of small omega P S divided by 2. You first transform this, then you get a spec on analog filter. Design the analog filter, then put the transformation S equal to 2 by T 1 minus Z inverse divided by 1 plus Z inverse, which automatically does the warping in the other direction and gives us the correct specifications. Okay? So, this is what we do. We can take care of the warping by pre-warping, all right. If you know your step is 1 meter and you have to reach a point which is less than 1 meter, then you go back a little bit and then put 1 meter, right. This is what we do, warping, pre-warping and then warping. Now, in terms of filter design, what I said in words is contained in this diagram. It's contained in this diagram. You see, given the digital filter specs, this is a digital filter specs. 1 delta P, can you read it? 1 delta P and this is delta S, omega P and omega S. This is a typical low pass filter design problem. So, it goes up to pi, okay. It's equal ripple, it's elliptic function, equal ripple, it's neither Butterworth nor Chebyshev. It is an elliptic function, which is the best filter, okay. So, what you do is you draw this diagram, the diagram depicting omega versus capital omega, and bring these frequencies on this. You either do it analytically, but to be able to understand what is happening, I have drawn this diagram. You bring omega P, find the corresponding capital omega P and capital omega S. Then bring them over here, and with the same tolerances draw the analog filter magnitude response. You see, analog filter magnitude response is now like this: ripples in the passband omega p, delta p is the same, delta s is the same, and from omega s to infinity you have well, what has been shown here is only up to this. Do you see this? What has been shown here is immediately after the first maximum. The rest occurs beyond the page, and so it has not been shown. You understand? There must be the same number of ripples in the, except that what happens between omega s and pi here happens between capital omega S and infinity. Okay? So, this is the process that is followed. Any question on this? No. Now, to formalize the procedure for design, let us repeat what we said in terms of another diagram. Let us say at the present time we shall be concerned only with low pass design, because we know how to convert a low pass into any other form. We shall take other examples of design later, but if I have a low pass design, then typically the specs would be 1 delta p, then delta s, omega, I beg your pardon, small omega p, small omega s and pi. All right. So, what you do is first you transform this into the analog filter diagram, h of e to the j small omega magnitude, then you take h a of j omega and you do the same thing 1 delta p. This you transform to capital omega p by using the relation capital omega p is equal to 2 by t tangent of small omega p divided by 2. In a similar manner you find out omega s. The upper end you cannot show because it goes to infinity. Okay. This is what you do by using omega ps equal to 2 by t tangent of small omega ps divided by 2. This is for BLT, bilinear transformation. Side by side, I would also like to keep the relationship for impulse invariant transformation. What is it? For impulse invariant transformation, it is simply omega p s divided by capital T. Isn't that right? When we take an example of design, we will do with impulse invariance as well as bilinear. Okay? We have not done any example of design so far with impulse invariance. We will do them together to point out the differences and advantages of BLT over IIT. Now, the other thing that I want you to notice is that IIT actually is an approximation of BLT. Do you see this? If omega t by 2 is small, then tan inverse omega t by 2 is same as omega t by 2, and therefore you simply get omega t. In other words, this part of the nonlinear diagram, which is coincident with the linear diagram, this part is true for IIT, the rest for BLT, and because it deviates, there is aliasing. Now, I would also like to point out that there is absolutely no aliasing in bilinear transformation. Why? Because the total transfer function is being transformed, S is being transformed. In the impulse invariant transformation, only poles were transformed. In step invariant transformation, only poles were transformed, and additionally a 0 at infinity was created. We do not do anything like this here. We take care of the total baseband 0 to pi. We distort it intentionally, we pre-distort it intentionally to go to the analog domain, and then the bilinear transformation takes care of distortion in the other direction, so that we get what we want. In digital filter design, low pass filter design, in analog low pass filter design, we also require this ratio omega s by omega p to be able to determine the order required of the filter. So, omega p by omega, I am sorry, it is the other way around, omega s by omega p. Omega s by omega p is equal to tangent of omega s by 2 divided by tangent of omega p by 2 in BLT, and in IIT it is simply omega s divided by omega p, because the relationship is linear. This is in IIT. I would like to keep both of them. Pardon me, no tan inverse, no. In impulse invariance, it is simply linear relationship. So, omega s divided by omega p. I would also like you to recall, is it okay? I would also like you to recall, well, if you are in confusion, you just say omega s by 2 and omega p by 2 are small enough. So, the tangent theta can be replaced by theta. That is what gives IIT. Okay? That is, for small omega, IIT and BLT are indistinguishable. Small omega or capital omega, they are indistinguishable. For filter design, you also require the fact that NB Butterworth filter order should be greater than or equal to log 10 of, let us recall the relation, 1 by delta s squared minus 1 divided by 1 by delta p squared minus 1 divided by log 10 omega s divided by omega p. And in Butterworth, we also require the cutoff frequency omega c, and that is obtained as omega p divided by 1 minus, no, I beg your pardon, that is not correct, 1 by delta p squared minus 1 raised to the power 1 by 2n b. This is the design parameters. You require the order and the cutoff frequency. What you are given is omega p, that is for a tolerance of delta p, 1 minus delta p. Okay? For a tolerance of 3 dB, the frequency is omega c. Why do you require this? To be able to obtain the transfer function. Okay? So, omega c is required. Nothing like this is required in Chebyshev. In Chebyshev, n sub c is greater than or equal to cos inverse the same quantity as occurs in the Butterworth filter divided by cos inverse of omega s by omega p, and in computing this you take the relationship that cos inverse theta equal to, no, I beg your pardon, cos inverse y, cos inverse y equal to log natural, not to the base 10, log natural y plus square root of y square minus 1. Okay. These are our basic design equations. I thought I would recall them. Now we take an example. We take an example and we should follow this example through and through. We will design Butterworth IIT, Butterworth BLT, Chebyshev IIT and Chebyshev BLT, all the 4 of them. Okay? And we will do it very carefully, very slowly. For keeping life simple, we have taken only a second order filter. That is, in all cases a second order suffices, but let's go through this design example. Frequency in hertz, that is what we want. Okay? Frequency in hertz and the magnitude h of e to the j omega. The tolerance is large, 1 and 0.8, not 0.7 or 7, 0.8, better than 3 dB, and this is a typical speech frequency, so that I want to pass only up to 800 hertz, that is 0.8 kilohertz. For some reason, maybe a stereo division or whatever it is, I want only the low frequency 0 to 800. Okay. And then my 2.4 kilohertz to 4 kilohertz, I do not want to pass more than 0.2, more than 20%. Okay. It should be less than or equal to 0.2. This is your digital filter specs. A digital filter is to be designed such that these specs are met. Can you tell me what is your capital T? What is your FT, sampling frequency? Obviously 8 kilohertz, 8 kilohertz. And once you know this, then you can convert these specs to normalized digital frequency. 4 kilohertz will correspond to pi. 4 kilohertz will correspond to pi. So, this will be 0.6 pi, this will be 0.2 pi, and this is 0. We require this, isn't that right? We require the values of small omega. Given the actual frequency specs, we have to convert to small omega. It is a linear conversion, do not confuse with IIT or BLT. It is from specifications to normalized digital frequency. We are not designing any analog filter, okay, right now. Now we say we have to design the analog filter, where we have to convert omega p equal to 0.2 pi. Therefore, capital omega p would be equal to 2 by t, capital T, tangent of 0.1 pi, and this comes as 2 by t multiplied by 0.3249. Omega s is equal to 0.6 pi, corresponds to omega s is equal to 2 by t multiplied by tangent of 0.3 pi, that is equal to 2 by t multiplied by 1.376. We also require omega s by omega p, that is 1.376 divided by 0.3249, and that comes as 4.235. We are doing by linear transformation. Therefore, the Butterworth order n sub b should be greater than equal to log 10 of 0.2, 1 by 0.2 squared, so 1 by 0.04 minus 1, that will be 24 obviously, then 1 by 0.64, 0.8 squared, delta p squared minus 1 divided by log 10 of 4.235. If you simplify this, the right hand side comes as 1.3. Therefore, n sub b equal to 2. N sub b equal to 2. And once you find n sub b, you have to find out, the next you have to find out omega c, the 3 dB cutoff frequency, that is equal to, I repeat, del omega p divided by 1 by delta p square minus 1 raised to the power 1 by 2 n b. And if you substitute, omega p is 2 by t multiplied by 0.3249 divided by 1 by 0.64 minus 1 raised to the power 1/4 2n, and that comes as 2 by t multiplied by 0.3752. Does that sound reasonable? Does it check? 0.8 is at 0.3249. So 0.707 must be later. Okay? If this figure had come lower than 0.3249, then you suspect yourself that you have made a mistake. Okay? You must keep your eyes, ears, hands, everything open. Okay? Now, now I can write my HA of S. HA of S is omega c squared divided by S squared second order. So, B1 omega c s plus omega c squared, and B1 is equal to twice, yes, sine or cosine? Sine. Here it does not matter because it is second order filter, but it should be sine. Sine of pi by 4, pi by 4. That is equal to 2 multiplied by 1 by root 2, so it is simply root 2. Okay. And therefore, my h of z would be equal to omega c square divided by s square plus root 2 omega c s plus omega c square, with s equal to 2 by t 1 minus z inverse divided by 1 plus z inverse. Now you shall notice a magic. Capital T shall disappear from the result. Capital T shall disappear from the result. We write, let me do one more step here. We write this as omega c t by 2 whole square in the numerator. That is, we multiply by t square by 4. Then in the denominator I get s t by 2 whole square plus root 2 omega c t by 2 s t by 2 plus omega c t by 2 whole square. Any objection? S equal to whatever that is. All right. Now we have found out omega c to be 2 by t multiplied by 0.3752. So omega c t by 2 is simply 0.3752. Capital T is gone. S t by 2, if you use the transformation S equal to 2 by t, this S t by 2 is simply 1 minus z inverse by 1 plus z inverse. Omega c t by 2, we have already said, is a number. S t by 2 is this, and therefore from the expression capital T disappears. Is that surprising? No, it has to, because bilinear transformation suffers from no aliasing. The transfer function should not depend on capital T. Once you have sampled, your specs have been given, 4 kilohertz was the end of the baseband, which meant sampling frequency of 8 kilohertz, and therefore we are in perfect shape, no aliasing. The transfer function should not contain capital T, and this is in general true, although you shall have to calculate up to omega sub c in terms of capital T before substituting. Another way to do this is to assume capital T equal to 2. Then the factor 2 t by 2 or 2 by t disappear. You can start that right from the beginning, but you must add a word, because capital T does not matter. We arbitrarily assume capital T equal to 2. All right. Okay, question 1 minus 1.0281 is the inverse plus 0.3651 z to the minus 2. This is what the transfer function becomes, and as I already said, it is independent of capital T. The other thing that you notice is I have made a mistake here. Can you spot the mistake? Squared, because st by 2 whole squared shall involve 1 plus z inverse, which has come in the top. Now you notice that h of z is 0 when z inverse is equal to minus 1. What does that correspond to? Small omega equal to pi, and the 0 is of multiplicity 2, a second order 0. Is that reasonable? What are our analog transfer function? It is a second order transfer function, all pole. So it had 2 zeros at infinity, and infinity is mapped into pi, and therefore this is quite expected. If in the numerator 1 plus z inverse whole square does not appear, then you have done something wrong. Now the other thing that I want you to notice is that if I calculate h of 1, h of 1 corresponds to omega equal to 0. H of 1, then you get 0.0842 multiplied by 4 divided by 1.3651 minus 1.0281, and this comes as 0.3368 divided by 0.3370. It is not exactly 1, it is less than 1. Why? It should have been exactly 1. Why has this occurred? Rounding, that is right, not aliasing. It is not an effect of it, it has occurred because of rounding. I finally wish to close by showing you a diagram of the magnitude plot. Can you see this on the monitor? Okay. You see, magnitude plot, it starts from, we have shown it as 1, although it is slightly less than 1. I mean it was not possible to distinguish here. Now you notice that at pi, again it is not exactly 1, which means that I have made a mistake. At pi it should be exactly 0, it should be 0, therefore there is a mistake here in drawing the diagram. Is that clear? Okay. You also should notice, is this point clear? Yes, that it should go to 0, because you have 1 plus z inverse whole squared in the denominator, not due to one factor, due to two factors it should be doubly 0, isn't it? Well, 0 multiplied by 0 is 0. You look at the phase plot. You see, the phase plot is linear up to a certain extent, about 1 radian, okay, is linear. Beyond that it is highly nonlinear. It saturates at minus pi, it saturates at minus pi ultimately. And if you want to use this in a situation where delay distortion is not permitted, then you have to use an all pass filter. First order or second order? If possible, use a first. I expected this answer because our filter was second order. You want to compare. If possible, use a first order. Who tells you that a first order filter cannot have a response like this? Approximation, after all, you cannot match it exactly, but you try a first order because that reduces the number of multipliers and the hardware requirement, number of additions. We will close here. Next